Hello everybody, what is up? It is me above the zero, and today with me is...
Same as always again. Don't have to do that every time. Dre, hi, man.
This is a special episode. We're going to be talking about group stages at 2015 Worlds, talking about our predictions and the statistics and stuff.
It's League of
And if
Legends,
you haven't noticed,
by the way.
we swap positions.
Yeah, he got bored of being in the corner. I actually kind of like it a little bit more, though. The desk is a bit higher. Helps me keep sitting up. I actually look like I'm taller than you. Regardless, getting right into things. We're just gonna say right now that group stage was knucking futs, and everything that happened was not supposed to happen until week 2.
So I have a very big tangent to go on about this. When we look at the statistics for last year's Worlds and their analysts slash experts by Riot Games, their whole job is to watch the pro teams and analyze what their team strengths are, their weaknesses, and then they look at who their opponent is, and depending on that, they decide who they think is going to win. So, Monte Cristo last year at Worlds had an 81% guess rate that was correct. And now, since the game isn't going the way that it should be, people are shitting on the experts because, like he said, everything is not going the way it should go. So before we get into this, I wanted to get that out of the way. This world is weird. We have not seen the pro teams on this patch until this date. So stop shitting on the experts. They're just doing their job. Let's hop straight into things.
So starting with Group A, which is the group of life, as I believe it was being referred to as, we have the first place team coming out of this group, Flash Wolves. Only 8% of the people in the world saw that coming. And the second group, Coup Tigers, who I'm pretty sure everybody thought was going to get out of the group, but they'd be in first place. And then we have third place. It's a tie between Pain Gaming and CLG. Now, Pain Gaming, let's just start from the bottom and work our way up.
Okay.
Pain Gaming won that game against Flash Wolves, and they actually won that game. As a wildcard team, they beat the team that is now the first seed in their group. Great. They won the second game against CLG, who, I'm not going to quote anybody, but they were not very prepared or really willing to give their all for that game. I feel like at that point they'd gone full tilt and just lost two balls in the pinball machine, you know?
Yeah.
And segueing into CLG after Pain's performance was definitely above what people expected. But at the same time, their second win, I mean, I'm not going to take it away from them. They still won, and they still, executed well in that game, but CLG just kind of threw it. They are clearly a superior team and just didn't feel like winning. What do you have to say about CLG?
Before, we didn't know that Expathy was going to be able to play, which did affect our picks. But Expathy didn't really have an impact.
No. I honestly don't think it would have gone any differently with Huhi. Now, the first day, they did perform fairly well. Our first week, rather. They only lost to Coup, and, I mean, they did get decimated in that game, but every game after that, it just seemed like they could not get a flow.
They never got in their stride, and I mean, in a double round robin, maybe you can pick it up the second half, but by that point, it's damage has been done.
Yeah. And then in the second place team in that group, Coup Tigers, I mean, everybody expected them to perform exactly the way that they did. I don't think they underperformed. I don't think they overperformed. But something exceptional that did happen was they lost twice to the Flash Wolves. Now, I don't think this is a shortcoming on Coup Tigers' part. I think this is just the Flash Wolves overperforming and really just exceeding expectations.
Well, they made a substitute the first day.
Yeah, they did. They started with Kramer at AD carry.
And then they moved over to NL, and after that, it just...
They did great. I think they lost versus CLG with Kramer, and then after that, they only lost to Pain Gaming. That was it.
But I mean, coming into groups though, we were thinking that Pain Gaming was going to be strong. Which I mean, obviously they got the most amount of wins from a wild card team ever in Worlds.
Too.
So
They were.
Well,
They were the strongest wild card team ever.
Yes.
Out of like the 6 that have ever come in.
Yes.
I mean, if you look at the other wild card team, Bangkok Titans, even though they were in the group of Deft,
Non-existent.
absolutely non-existent. They stood no chance in any of their games. Not even versus H2K.
But I mean,
Granted, EDG almost did kind of throw against them.
yeah, but like we said coming in, this group could have been won by anybody.
Yeah.
And
Well, since we're talking about Group C, let's...
we're still in Group A.
Alright.
But coming in, I said that the last 2 tournament runs, they were undefeated. And I thought they were stronger than the NA teams, to be perfectly honest.
Pain Gaming?
Yes.
Yeah, I
And-
wouldn't go that far.
No. And when we look at the results, they tied for 3rd with CLG. Now, yes, they did not perform in the game against Pain Gaming, but they still tied the NA team that was in their group. So, coming into Brazil, hopefully they can take what they learned this year and they can dominate again and do better next year.
I think you can't rate them as highly as the NA teams because it's not about how well you perform, it's about how well you perform against. Even though they did beat CLG, that was like CLG with 40% effort and Pain Gaming with 110%. You know what I mean? So it's like, that's like you and I, who are plat and diamond players in League of Legends, smurfing in level 20.
Yeah.
I mean, not to take anything away from Pain, they did win 2 games, but I'm more disappointed in CLG than I am impressed by Pain.
Well, I thought coming in it was going to be Ku and Flash Wolves. This guy.
No, you thought it was going to be Ku and CLG. Yeah,
Are you
did.
sure?
Yeah, I know you did, because you're like a hardcore CLG fan.
I think I said Flash Wolves.
We'll have to double check.
We're gonna, yeah.
Why don't we double check and then put a scoreboard up or something?
I got Ku right, and
I know I said Flash Wolves in my prediction. I know I did.
but that's a quick recap of Group A. We're gonna put the Lolpedia page showing you all the statistics, what happened in every single game for each group. What's happening in Group B?
Group B Arena. Alright, everybody, so going into Group B, which is the group with Invictus Gaming, Fnatic, AHQ, and Cloud9. This group was an absolute mirror of what it was Week 1. So Week 1, everybody, including the analysts, were thinking Cloud9's probably going to go 0-6 in this group. They're not going to win a single game. Then things happen, and Cloud9 winds up going 3-0 the first week, with all the other teams in the group going 1-2. 3-way tie for 4th, Cloud9 in first by a long way. Then we come into week 2, and all Cloud9 really has to do is win one game. So everybody has them coming out of the group, either first or second. Most people have them first. Some people are even saying they'll go 6-0. 6-0 in the group. And then more things happen. And we get what we have now, which is Cloud9 going 0-4 on week 2 and being eliminated, along with IG and AHQ and Fnatic both getting out, Fnatic taking the first seed.
Well, coming into this, like you said, the analysts thought, no way Cloud9 has a chance. They come in, and Incarnation, the first game, Vigar.
Nobody sees that pick coming. Now I see it coming in solo queue.
That was probably their pocket pick, and they were like, you know what? Let's try it. If we win, we win. If not, well, we're an underdog, so...
Yeah. I think what really messed them up, though, was after that game, Incarnation in his interview said, we're willing to blind pick Vagar, which really made it stand out as a high priority pick for them. So then it was banned every game after that.
And especially if you're going to use your pocket pick your first game.
You don't want to tell people.
Yeah, you don't want to be like, hey,
this is our best thing.
Don't ban it, please.
This is the best one.
It's kind of like when Tips jungler Rush said, I know, we'll just play Lee Sin, we win. And then everyone was just like, ban Lee Sin.
Rip Lee Sin. Yeah, I really got the feels for Cloud9 because they just got obliterated in every single game, week 2. They weren't even close.
Well, I feel like in week 2 of this world,
Things went the way they were supposed to go.
yeah, teams figured each other out. They figured out the metagame of the tournament, what the power picks were going to be. And then once they figured that, I mean, I think it was day 1, blue side went 6-0 because you could leave a power pick open and then just pick it. Where day 2, red side went 6-0. So after the first week, everybody knew what the power picks were, so the drafts were more better.
Yeah, people had more practice with basically the world's meta solidified itself, and people were able to take advantage of getting 2 power picks instead of just 1. If you were able to ban smart enough, which Fnatic and AHQ were able to do. And that's why they got out of this group. Really, there's nothing surprisingly, after the first week, there's nothing too exciting about this group or interesting, other than the fact that IG underperformed so much. But I think we can say that about all the Chinese teams, including EDG now.
Yeah, I mean, Invictus Gaming didn't get their stuff together until right before they got into the whole qualifier thing. And even then, they still look shaky. They barely beat out 3rd place to get in there against EDG. So
I remember in our last video covering Worlds, we definitely overrated IG a little bit. We didn't...
I overrated IG.
I mean, I overrated them too. But we didn't really consider how inconsistent they were. Rather, we only looked at their peaks instead of also looking at their lows.
Yeah, and that's to say with China as a whole.
Yeah,
because
definitely, for sure.
I mean, in the China meta, in the LPL, they just want to fight. And when you come to Worlds where, I mean...
people are dissecting the game, you know?
Yeah, everybody wants to win this one competition, so they're not going to take as many risks as they do before, especially in group stages where you can be knocked out.
Unless you're Fnatic.
Yeah, well, I mean, they always picked an engage comp.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, teams are taking it more calculated and taking less risks. So, their whole China's just full-out offense and we win.
Yeah, just outplay them in a team fight.
It
doesn't work as well.
Didn't show. So, that's what happened in Group B. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, nothing super exceptional. Basically exactly what was supposed to happen the whole time. So, next we'll be talking about Group of Death, Group C. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, coming into Group C, which is the group with SKT, EDG, Bangkok Titans, and H2K, we've got some discussion, and everything that everybody expected to happen happened. So, but it wasn't as dominating as people would think.
Well, coming in, we all thought SKT, EDG, gonna make it through. I don't think there was anybody in the world, I mean, I'm sure there was, that thought that somebody else was gonna make it through.
Yeah.
But let's think about it. You have SKT dominates Korea, best region in the world by acclaim by all of the experts of the game. And then you have Edward Gaming. They have an outstanding record of just in Worlds. They always perform. They always do during playoffs. They are always a major player in League of Legends. You have H2K. They come into the LCS. They perform, but, I mean, in the European LCS, you have the top 2 teams. Then you have the middle group trying not to get relegated. And then you have really shit teams.
I would say there's the top 3 teams. I would put H2K in the top 3 teams in Europe. Which is, I mean, exactly the 3 teams that came.
Yes.
But they're the worst of the 3 teams.
And, I mean, they did put up a fight versus EDG. Now, if either of these games went differently, they would have made it out of the group.
Well, there would have been a tiebreaker.
And then, depending on how they play against them,
Yeah.
they get out of the group. But that's a worrying trend for EDG.
For EDG, for sure. The game that I really want to put some emphasis on is the Bangkok Titans EDG game, or the second one that they did. Because that game, there were lots of things wrong with EDG. Their draft was awful. They had 4 melee champions and a short-range AD carry. They didn't have any real sort of synergy, I guess. Basically, they just massively disrespected BKT with their draft. Second thing that's wrong with that is they got obliterated in the early game. They got out-rotated, they lost towers, they were behind by like 5,000 gold at some point, which is not acceptable versus the worst team at the tournament. And third, they had to rely on Bangkok Titans having no idea what to do in order to win that game.
Yeah.
If they're against any other team in the tournament, they lose that game.
I mean, that really speaks to all the drafts in this tournament, though. I mean, I remember watching the first day and just being like, what? Like, just some of the teams that they were picking, and they didn't have any synergy. It felt like the coaches didn't even know their own team and their strengths.
Until we saw Origin, there wasn't really a solid draft.
So, I mean, like we said, second week drafts did look better, but still, that happening shouldn't. It doesn't matter if you are SKT going against Bangkok Titans or Copenhagen Wolves. You should not pick that comp. So, I mean, EDG, I know you felt really confident, but that was really dumb.
Yeah, and that puts me over the edge to say that all 3 Chinese teams came to this tournament and underperformed severely.
And when you look at that comp, Gragas is their only AP damage. And I believe he went Cinder Hulk that game. So they were on a time clock too. So if they don't win before 30 minutes,
Well, they won at like 32 or something, but
if they don't win before that armor piles up, you lose. That is how this game works. And they got lucky. They really did.
yeah, they won like 4 team fights in a row just because of misplays by BKT. And, you know, I honestly believe if BKT was just if H2K was the team in that game instead of Bangkok Titans,
That was a loss.
it was a loss. They lose, for sure.
I mean, but we do have to say about H2K, Lulex, where were you, dude? Like, honestly, I remember one of the games, there were 4 people top. He was doing romp. And the casters were like, where's Lulex? Oh, he's at Grump.
Yeah,
Like-
Lulix just literally did not show up.
And this is the second year that he's made it to Worlds, and it felt like it's been by luck, because last year he joined... it doesn't matter who he joined. He joined them with like 4 weeks left, and he made it to Worlds, and then just didn't perform. But then he was on H2K the whole year. Even in Europe, he wasn't the best jungler.
He was pretty low. He was pretty bad, actually. And
But pretty low legs.
he was pretty low.
And he and he fluked his way into Worlds again. So hopefully they get a new jungler, because I really thought that's where they lost out. If they won against EDG, they would have been out of here. SKT coming in, they won.
Yeah, I mean, EDG was the only team that people thought was going to be able to beat SKT, and SKT just absolutely wiped the floor with them. It wasn't even close in either game. Just wasn't close. EDG had no idea how to play the early game. No idea. If you look at their games versus H2K, gold is completely even until one team fight, and it just spikes in EDG's favor.
I mean, and then talking about Bangkok Titans, they were a wild card team, and coming in, nobody expected anything of them, and they didn't show up.
By doing well in the early game of one game, they overperformed.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
So, congratulations. I mean, you made it to Worlds, you overperformed. That's all you can ask. You went 0-6, but everybody's impressed.
Yeah.
Good luck next time.
I think that's all we have for Group C.
Yeah.
Coming into Group D, the group of death. Not the group of deft. Group of death.
No, but Group C is the group of Deft.
Yeah, group
Like
of
I said.
death.
the group of death, with KT Rolster, Origin, TSM, and LDG. LGD, rather. My bad. Might as well have been LG fuck you, because they absolutely got smashed the whole tournament. Until week 2.
So, I wanna touch on LGD really quick. Coming in, they were looking like they were gonna make it out of the group. There's no way they lose. He destroyed last year's Worlds. He's considered one of the best 5 players in the world by LOL Esports, by Thorn, by Monte Cristo, and he was considered the second best AD carry in the world, possibly first, depending on who you talk to. He absolutely performed this tournament.
Oh yeah, he did great. He was not the reason this team lost.
But
unless he was like yelling at people and being like toxic, as we like to say in the League of Legends community, unless he was being that guy, he is not the reason this team lost.
But the rest of his team, I don't know what happened in the 1 month span from when the finals were done to when they hit groups, but a completely different team showed up to this tournament.
Absolutely. I could not agree with you more. They just they lost to TSM. Just
that should just be enough said right there.
I don't hate TSM. I'm not one of those TSM haters. I like TSM. But TSM is not a good team. They're
good in
right
NA.
Now.
They're good in NA.
They're okay in NA. They weren't even great in NA this last split. They had a lot of struggles. They only made it to Worlds because they won the first split.
And the thing that really bothers me about TSM and all these Western teams is they come in and they say, not realistically, like, hey, we know we're from the West, we know we're from NA, we're not playing against the best competition all year, we don't get to scrim against the best teams. But, you know what, we're going to overhype Worlds, and we're going to say, I mean, of course, it's every team's goal to say that they want to win Worlds, but that narrative is repeated over and over again for the Western teams. And besides Season 1, it has never happened again. And it really bothers me, especially because they overhype that headline. But TSM coming in, like you said, they only made it in because of the championship points, and people were thinking like, hey, maybe they have a chance, maybe, in a snowball's chance in hell. But I mean, it's Worlds. You're facing the best competition. If you don't show up, you're gonna lose and you're gonna be knocked out. So,
for sure. And you know, it really is a shame because TSM is a team with a huge fan base, and that fan base is very critical. Well, at least the vocal portion is. I'm not sure if it's a vocal minority or majority, but they're very, very, very brutal. And I just want to touch for a minute on Dyrus, his retirement. And, you know, I feel like the fans of that team have really pressured that guy to perform better, to just be a better player, and I think that pressure made him stay longer than he should have, because he's definitely past his prime. I think that pressure to perform better, to make those people happy with him just one more time, really pressured him to stay longer than he should, and TSM fans need to be more considerate of, he's out there doing his best for you. I don't think he'd be out there if his fans weren't asking him to be.
Well, when we're talking about Dyrus, everybody knows that he's been on a slow decline. I'm not putting anything against that guy. He has made 5 Worlds in a row.
Yeah, he's an incredible if there's a Hall of Fame sometime for League of Legends, Dyrus will be in the League of Legends Hall of Fame.
Like, he has been there from the beginning. He has been one of the best players from the beginning. But as more talent comes into the scene, as more money is pumped in from sponsors, there's going to be more talent that comes in. And just like with Darian, with Genja, with any player that has retired, unless you put in so much time, you are not going to be able to stay at the same level as
there comes a point where your time just doesn't work anymore.
Yeah.
You can't get better. And, like, that's what's happening with me right now. I'm stuck in Plat. God help me. But, yeah, it's just, there comes a point where you've reached your peak, and there's no going up.
the best comparison I can think of is Kobe Bryant. He's holding on.
He is. He's still carrying the Lakers.
Well,
though.
yes, but he's not the same player that he is. If people no, Dyrus, you're amazing. You did all the things. You are a meme master. But I'm glad that you are able to go on a high point. You made it to Worlds for another time. Sure, you didn't perform as well as maybe you wanted to.
The team didn't perform, not just him. The team didn't perform.
The team.
Other than Bjergsen.
But, I mean, you can only do this for so long. And he felt like this was the time.
But
so.
it's definitely sad to see him go.
Yeah.
We, as two dudes recording a video, appreciate everything that you've done for the League of Legends community, Dyrus. So.
Especially the montage videos.
Absolutely. You're incredible. Now, moving on to the rest of the teams. My favorite team, Origin. These guys really impressed me week 1. And then they came into week 2 and didn't live up to expectations that they set for themselves. I mean, they should have been the first seed coming out of this group. They went 3-0 from the first week. But they lost to LGD, and they lost to KT.
I'm going to disagree on coming out first. After the first week, just like Cloud9, the people, statistically, there's no way when you go 3-0 the first week that you should be able to be dropped out. But I do not believe that they should have come out first. That is my personal flourishing. And I mean, KT is from Korea, a stronger region. They finished better. Origin does have Xpeke, do have Soaz. They do know what to do in high pressure situations. Niels, I feel like, is better than Reckles. And I mean, Fnatic still is Yellowstar. Fnatic still is Reckles. So both teams have people that have been around the scene for a while, that have been at the top of League of Legends for a while, and because of that, they know what to do in the high pressure situations. They can perform at tournaments like Worlds. So it does make sense that they did make it through. They are playing against,
I believe, SKT.
Doesn't matter who they're going against. They still have the legends in esports, well, League of Legends esports, and I hope well for them. I don't think they're going to be able to make it to the finals and win, but saying that, that's my feelings about Origin.
Yeah, I mean, it's a real shame that they got paired up against SKT, because if it was any other team, they'd be able to meet Fnatic in the semifinals, which I think would be awesome. But I mean, it is what it is. I mean, Fnatic has to beat EDG too, so I mean, given I don't need to touch on EDG's performance again, but talking about KT now, the team that came out on top of this group, do you think they really had any pressure coming into this group? I mean, to be honest, everybody thought LGD was going to blow everybody out of the water. Everybody was impressed with Origin's performance. And, like, KT kind of slid under the radar, you know what I mean?
Well, I don't think they had to show anything. They just played their game, and it worked.
Yeah, they really just had to come and play like normal.
Yeah.
Everybody kind of forgot about their expectations for KT when they were so surprised by LGD and Origin, you know?
Yeah. I mean, they didn't have much attention shown on them, and they basically got a free group stage, so...
Yeah, we'll see how they perform going into the knockout rounds. Now, speaking of the knockout rounds, our next thing that we're going to do is make our predictions for those, and we'll see who is correct going into the semi.
Alright, coming into knockout rounds, we got Yowie Flash Wolves versus Origin as the first game. What do you think is going to happen here?
Well, I was wrong when I said it was Origin SKT, but I think Flash Wolves and Origin is going to be a really fun game to watch, or a series rather, because Flash Wolves overperformed and Origin kind of underperformed, you know? So I think these two teams are really equally matched, and it'll be really fun to watch Origin beat the Flash Wolves.
So you're saying Origin's going to beat Flash Wolves. What are you going to call the series?
3-1.
All right.
I just feel like Origin's draft is good enough to beat the Flash Wolves, and their skill and their plot armor is thick. It's not very analytical, is it?
Whatever. My predictions coming in. I believe. Okay, if Flash Wolves plays Kramer,
they're not gonna play
Put
Kramer,
him out.
And
There's no way. There's
Kramer.
no way they're gonna play him. And if they do, they lose the series. With NL, like he said, it's more of an even playing field. I believe Stake will play better than Soez.
I don't know.
I
man.
know. This is my opinion.
Stake's a troll, dude.
I think Stake is gonna do better than Soez, and NL is a really solid AD carry. He just sits back, pumps out the DPS in the late game, which the marksman role should be doing. And I believe it's gonna be a very close series. It's gonna be 3-2. Flash Wolves.
I'm just gonna make a real bold prediction here and say that the team that's gonna win this series is the team that gets Kalista.
Yeah, I mean Niels is really strong on Callista Vayne, and NL is really strong on Callista Jinx. So, if either it's going to be banned a lot, or we're gonna see a lot
traded
of,
back and forth,
or we're gonna see Vayne versus Jinx. So,
possible.
uh,
So the second matchup is
SKT versus AHQ. What do you think is gonna happen?
I think it's gonna be closer than people think.
All right.
But SKT is definitely going to come out on top because they have experience playing against AHQ because of MSI. So, I mean, SKT is going to recognize the team. They're going to be like, oh, we beat these guys before. It's not that hard. AHQ will lose. But AHQ has a bad habit of just, like, for some reason, winning a game. And they're going to win a game. They're going to be... I think they're going to take a game off of SKT. It'll probably just be the very first one. Because SKT is going to be like, kind of like how in our last episode of Esports Upload, Nairo was like, I'm going to feel out the waters a little bit against Zero. That's what SKT is going to do. They're going to be like, how can we beat these guys?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll beat them this way.
Well, I mean, it's SKT. What is there to be said? They're the best team in the world. They have the best mid laner. Their whole lineup's probably one of the best in their roles in the world, at least top 5. And AHQ, they've showed up, but I believe the LMS as a whole is a weaker region. They dominated it, just like SKT dominated Korea, but even when you just compare those two things, Korea is stronger than LMS. So, believe, based off of that, SKT is going to beat out Flash AHQ.
Just as like a little interruption here, I'd like to note that all 3 Korean teams made it out of the group stage. Even though people after the first week, everybody was like, Wes is best. All 3 Korean teams made out of the group stage.
Yeah.
And both LMS teams made out of the group stage too.
And one Chinese team. So,
well, China underperformed. But
so I mean, West is best has been trumped.
Yeah, China is worst is more like what we're going for here. And NA.
Worst of East.
And NA is really bad too.
Yeah. But they get the most views on Twitch, so it's alright.
Worth.
Alright, so coming into the third game, we got Fnatic versus EDG. I know you're a Fnatic fanboy.
Yeah, and it more so than being a Fnatic fanboy, I really want to just look at that Bangkok Titans EDG game where they fell behind and how, even versus H2K, which is a European team, they remained even until 30 minutes. Fnatic isn't going to remain even with you if you're going to give them the chance. They're going to rotate on you. Hooney's going to outplay you. Or I mean, maybe not, because that's a tough matchup up there. But I think Fnatic's going to edge them out. Just given EDG's underperformance in the group stage. They almost lost to Bangkok Titans.
So, what do you think this series is going to be?
3-2.
In
Fnatic's favor.
all right. Well, coming into this,
No, 3-1. I'm sorry.
3-1.
3-1 Fnatic. Yeah.
Coming into this, Fnatic goes 18-0 in the LCS. They completely dominate all the way up until the point where they hit Origin. And then Origin figures them out. Their coach is really good at drafting and researching on other teams, but they adapted in that series and they won. So, I believe just based off of drafts, I mean, we highlight let's highlight this EDG Bangkok Titan draft really quick. They had Braum, Lucian, Yasuo, Gragas, and top lane.
Yasuo.
Yasuo was mid lane. Whatever.
Oh,
there were four.
was he-
There were four melees and a short range AD
Echo
carry.
was their top laner.
Echo. Yes. So, when you come into this, looking at that draft, and I'm sure if we take a look at any of the other drafts of EDG,
There's flaws.
what are you doing? There's no synergy, even just based off of draft. Even if you don't just draft 4 ADs and an AP, you are going to lose against Fnatic because Fnatic always runs the triple threat comp into tank junglers, which is really strong. Huhi's always on a damage threat. Fabiven's always on a damage threat. Reckles is always on a damage threat. Which means even if Reckles doesn't CS well, or he's out of position a couple of times, you still have two other people that damage out people. Where I'm sure if we look at any of the other Edward Gaming drafts, they suck at drafting. There's no other way to say it. And just based in draft, you can lose games just based off of draft. So, Fnatic, Daylor is an amazing coach. He was from the beginning, and he is one of the best coaches in not just LCS, just in all of League of Legends. He's really good at figuring out the map, getting his team to know when to push their advantages, what they should do in a certain situation, and actually how to win a game. So, when we look at China as a whole, if you just watch the LPL, all they like to do is fight. That's it. So, even though I do believe the West is overhyped, Fnatic is overhyped, just looking at the facts put in front of us and what we can see, I believe Fnatic is going to win 3-2.
3-2.
Just because they're going to know how to close out against EDG, their draft's going to be better, they're going to be able to take small advantages, they're just going to be able to slowly win the game. I do not think it's going to be very exciting, but I believe Fnatic is going to win 3-2. And coming into the last game, we have KT versus Ku Tigers. The only mirror region games.
The only matchup where they're both from the same region. I don't know these teams very well, but I do know how they performed in group stage. And I know that Ku Tigers went 5-1 in their, or I'm sorry, not 5-1. They went 4-2 in their group. And KT Rolster went 5-1 in their group. But I also know that Ku Tigers had a easier group.
Yeah.
They were with CLG, Pain Gaming, and Flash Wolves. And they dropped 2 games to Flash Wolves. And KT Rolster didn't have that easy a group. Well, at least people didn't think they were going to, with LGD in it and Origin performing well.
Yeah.
So I'm going to, without being too analytical, without taking too much time, I think KT Rolster is going to just win this series, straight up. Even though they were the 3rd team coming out of Korea, and Ku Tigers was the 2nd team, I think a lot has been shown about Ku and KT in this group stage. And one team has adapted better to the meta than the other one has. And Ku has shown that in a situation where it matters the most, they'll choke, like against Flash Wolves.
So what are you going to call this series?
3-0 KT.
Alright, well, coming into it, like you said, we saw KT and Ku during group stages. Ku choked, and KT, they performed. So, just based off of that, you have to think that KT is going to win. although Smeb is really good, and I believe that he can carry really hard, you can't just have one strategy coming into a 5-game series. You may be able to fluke a game, you may be able to fluke 2, but you cannot fluke the whole series. So because of that, I believe that KT is going to win 3-2.
3-2, huh?
Yeah.
You're all about the close series, dog. Ain't nobody got that much time to watch all these games.
Well, we do because, well...
Yeah, I guess we kind of have to. But anyway, moving on to the next game, because that one was pretty easy.
There are no more games.
All right. Well, those were our predictions and our analysis of group stage, what already happened, and knockout round, what's coming up next. And after all the knockout rounds or after the first set of knockouts are complete, we'll tune in next time to analyze those and tell you what we think is going to happen for the semifinals. Excuse me while I die. And thanks for tuning in, everybody. Any parting words?
Thanks for watching. Hopefully we'll see you guys in the comments, and we'd like to hear what you think about.
Like, comment, and subscribe.
Nah, you don't have to do that. Just comment.
I mean, if you enjoy what we put out, please do. And any information that we used, we got off of Leakpedia.
This link will be down in the description.
Same thing as always, we'll put the link down in the description. And be sure to tune in on Friday for our normal episode of Esports Upload.
Hopefully you enjoyed the bonus episode. See you guys Friday.
Later.